The waterfront in Halifax, Nova Scotia is a beautiful port that I had the pleasure of stopping at on my most recent cruise to Canada. Today I want to take you on a quick tour of the port and also give you my thoughts on the port overall and whether or not I think it's worth your time to book a trip here. Right after this. So when you get off the ship, you'll come in through this little security checkpoint here. I'm assuming that they would open up more turnstiles if there were more people. However, we were getting off the ship about an hour after they allowed people to start getting off, and so there weren't a lot of crowds when we went through. The wonderful thing about the Halifax port is if you don't have excursions, you just want to do a little bit of shopping, don't want to wander too far, there are shops to the left when you get off the boat, and there's even a museum right here to the right about immigration, which is something that we'll go over more in our walking tour recap. So there's a nice little marketplace right here with all of the touristy things. However, I really do recommend getting off the ship. Out of all of the ports that we have gone to, so far this one is my favorite. It is just beautiful and really built for walking. So when you come outside, to the left there is a farmer's market that's only open certain days a week, and it wasn't open on the day that we went. So we weren't able to go in and see that, but hopefully on another trip we'll be able to. All throughout the city, there are these art pieces that are nautically themed. I love them. I think they're so much fun. I think I captured 5 or 6 of them throughout the course of our trip. And this whole pier is really set up for tourists. There's signs everywhere about where to go. There's a lot to do on the pier. I was surprised to see that the pier right next to the one where you get off of the cruise ship is actually the Ellis Island of Canada. It was active during that same time period in accepting European immigrants into the country and helping them find their new home. This town is really steeped in history, and it really shows the fact that there are people from the community who are there to help you learn about the area. They're there to help you find your way, and really they integrate the history into the touristy part of the pier very beautifully. It feels very organic. There's a lot to look at, a lot to keep your attention without ever having to spend a dime. It entices you to explore further, and I really just thought that it was very beautifully done. Not much further down, you have these breweries and little eateries that are right outside of where you get off the cruise ship. You don't have to go far to find the things that you would want out of a port. There are shops and everything really, really close by. So if you do have limited mobility, this is all super accessible. Everything is accessible from a wheelchair. It's a pretty easy walk, no different than even walking through a supermarket in how long it takes to get there. Here you can see the first real hotel that the town had. That was the first stop on our walking tour, and I found it really fascinating as this tour guide talked about the different ways that they were preserving all of the historic landmarks and buildings around the city and what they were doing to modernize them for use in today's world. If you have any interest in history, I cannot recommend that walking tour enough. Please check out the review when it goes up so you can kind of see what we're talking about. I was amazed by this town. And then right up here on the right, so you can kind of see from the length of the video so far, it took us under 5 minutes to walk up here. And when you turn to the right, not only is there a nice little cafe situated right here, but you are right there on the water, and you can actually go down and really see all the different boats and activities that are happening on the water. It's a beautiful view. If you go nowhere else in the port, I do recommend coming down here and just taking it in. And here's one of the best views off of the pier. That chair is well placed. I could have sat here all day. Right across from us, you can see George's Island with the lighthouse. That was instrumental in defending the harbor And then you can take a tour over there. There are boat tours that go over there, but there's not much over there now. You can see the cruise ship. Doesn't it look beautiful there? As you can see, the lighting on the day we were there was amazing. The weather was wonderful. I could have sat here and looked at the water for hours. You can see all the different activities. It's just a really beautiful view. As you come out of that waterfront area, you end up in this plaza with a statue to Cunard, who is one of the founding fathers of the town, so to speak. There you can see me messing with my camera, getting ready to shoot some video as well. And then as you walk over here, the vibe shifts a little bit. One of the things that I really like about this port is that it doesn't feel the same the whole way through. You kind of go through different areas of the pier as you walk down. And it really feels very organic. It feels like a place that's used not just by tourists, but by the people who live in the city as well. These statues were placed by the Halifax Women's Society as a memorial to the volunteers from their society who helped to build the city. And then just a little further down here, you have the immigrant statue, which is all about immigration in the city of Halifax. As I mentioned earlier, that was a big thing for them during the same time that Ellis Island was active, so there's a statue to commemorate that. Quickly following the immigrant statue is a memorial to the Royal Navy of Canada for men who lost their lives in the Battle of the Atlantic. And then we move kind of into a business district. We had almost thought that we were at the end of the pier, but we could see that there was more activity further down. So there wasn't a lot going on here. It was mostly just people walking through from one side of the pier to the other. There's a lot of construction going on in this area as they're making improvements to the pier and building it up for future generations. One thing that I did really like about every section of the pier we went to is that there were places to sit, there were chairs, and there was little things to keep you kind of engaged and to make it a community space. You can tell that this can easily be cleared out for, like festivals or things like that. But while it's not in use for something more specific, there are plenty of places for people to just come and chill out with the water. Which, as we all know, is a very relaxing experience. So after that large kind of empty section, you come across the more active part of the pier. You have this structure that invokes the feel of a garden while matching the overall aesthetic of the pier. It was a great place to stop and relax, but it still looked beautiful. You do see more of the construction there on the left. As I said, there were a lot of improvement projects happening. And then on the right, we see where the smaller watercraft start to be docked. The first one up here is a police boat, which I had never seen one this close. They are a lot bigger than I thought they were. So it was really cool to get to see that and see how active it actually was. As we clear the active construction, we enter the kind of touristy shopping district part of the pier. One thing that I found really cool about this section is it felt very inclusive in a way that often comes across as corporate other places. There were pride flags, there were little like sensory walks, there were places for kids to have fun and stay active. And it just really felt like a family-oriented environment where anyone was welcome and could feel safe. And it's really rare to find that in a city so organically. It wasn't like shoved down your throat, but it was also very obvious that they wanted all types of people to come and enjoy this space. This part of the pier was a lot busier, so it was hard to get good footage, so we have some short clips to kind of give you the look and feel. You had these traditional storefronts that met with these permanent booths like you would see down the shore or at a Ren fair. It gave everything a very festival-like feeling. Everything was so inviting. It smelled good. You could smell the crepes and the funnel cake, and there was live music, there was playgrounds. It just felt like a very vibrant and alive place to be. Also, all throughout, there's this art that is functional. You could sit on that whale tail, or you can tie up your boat to an octopus. And I just love the meeting of art and function that is really prevalent throughout this part of the pier. And then you can charter boats, you can charter jet skis. There's still more beautiful views down here. I absolutely love it. There's more history. One thing about a lot of these monuments is you see the information in all different languages, particularly English and French, and so it is more accessible to more visitors. And then lastly, we have these hop-on, hop-off buses, which do make seeing the city more accessible without so much walking, and you can do it at your own pace and leisure. As I'm sure you can probably tell from that walkthrough, I absolutely love this port. It is hands down my favorite port that we've finished so far. I think it's beautiful. It is very accessible. You can get pretty much anywhere you want to go. Even if you're wheelchair bound or have limited distance you can walk. There's also very helpful signage everywhere. There's a lot of people to help you navigate. And then it's also just a very active, welcoming atmosphere. I highly recommend this whether you do a quick 4-day one like the one we just did, or you do a longer cruise up the coast and see more of the northeast coastline and some of the other ports that you can stop at. And yeah, if you have any questions about Halifax, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Also, to support the channel, if you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. It does help us a lot. And we will see you on the next tour. Thanks.